Here's a story of three sisters named Simon. Joanna is tallest, Lucy in the middle, Carly the baby. It is a story of love and friendship in a family of wealth and drive, and of how this small circle has grown to encompass a world of music. Their mother, who sang to them as she nursed them, is Andrea Simon. Joanna chose opera for her career. Lucy developed her style from folk and pop music.
We had a single wish to pass the brightest star. I knew we'd wish to be just where we are.
Carly is a rock singer, one of the country's most popular.
That dangerous driving baby, the policeman said, I could smell the passion of another man on your breath.
There is a Simon brother as well, Peter, the youngest of all, a professional photographer who has chronicled the family in pictures since their father's death in 1960. Peter has published several books, including one on his sister Carly.
1, 2, 3.
From the beginning, the Simon family has been captured in photographs and home movies. Photography was one of the passions of Richard Simon, the father. He was co-founder of the publishing empire of Simon & Schuster. Andrea met Dick Simon when she was a switchboard receptionist at Simon & Schuster. He was already wealthy and successful, but she had come from an impoverished family. Her mother had run away from an arranged marriage when Andrea was only 4.
My mother also smoked cigarettes and drank wine, which was unheard of. And we went into a little rooming house. We took one room in a rooming house where there were drunken men and rats, and it was just ghastly. But that was the way it was.
After Andrea and Dick were married, those ways changed and blended into a world of large houses and famous guests and Dick Simon's own imposing presence.
He was a very vital personality and very witty. And of course, very large, 6'5", and handsome, and more charm. It was irresistible, really.
And to the children, Simon's love of music seemed irresistible. He played classical piano, Andrea sang.
My mother had a beautiful voice, and she sang to us from the moment that we were born. She sang. I mean, she even claims it as she was delivering on the delivery table. She was singing la 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 as we were emerging.
Singing in this house, music in this house was continuous. There was practically never a time when there wasn't music of some kind going on.
And music was more than just an amusement within the Simon house.
There was a sense of excellence around the household all the time, which was, I don't know, exemplified in the people who my parents brought home, you know, who were friends of ours. Oscar Hammerstein, Richard Rogers, Elmer Rice, Betty Field, they all lived in the neighborhood and would, you know, drop by and watch these little children performing.
In the summers, the family and their friends drove from New York to the Simon home in Stamford, Connecticut, a time and place the children describe as magical. Under the guidance of their mother, the children were given lessons in art and sports and found secret gardens of their own. Their father's influence was always apparent. Carly remembers receiving a baptism of emotions and language.
From the ground, the grown-ups laughed inside, used words I didn't know, but still I enjoyed the show.
I think my father was very, inspirational to me as a lyricist. Just by exposing me to a lot of poetry. He would read poems out loud and cry. His crying had a lot to do with it. That really moved me.
There's a husky voice that speaks to me in the dark, and on the phone from studios and west side bars through tunnels of long distance.
As the eldest, Joanna's classical training was intense and is still part of her life. This is a rehearsal room in New York City, where Joanna and other members of the New York City Opera gave us a run-through of scenes from Tales of Hoffmann. It is one of Joanna's favorite roles, a temptress who betrays the hero to a magician. But because Richard Simon was a famous publisher, she says, people were often surprised to learn that she worked hard to develop her own career. And so, in a strong and demanding family, a pattern of accomplishment and encouragement was set by Richard and Andrea Simon. But something else also grew out of it, a close relationship among the sisters. So close that today their impressions of each other remain remarkably consistent. As they assumed their roles in the family, Joanna, whose nickname is Joey, was first.
I would say that since I was the firstborn, I was the more knowledgeable, the more sophisticated, the bossiest.
Joanna was always the prima donna.
Very much a queen, very much a kind of a prima donna.
The prima donna, although a very delicious one.
As the youngest sister, Carly observed the others to find her place and to seek her father's approval.
I mean, in a lot of the pictures that my father took of me, I see this almost desperate little girl trying so hard to please him, trying so hard to carve a little place in his heart, you know. That's all over my face in those pictures. And so I think that my childhood was spent on trying to nurture the clown.
And Carly then was the comedian. Everything that she did in sort of a very eccentric way. And
she was the one who broke everybody up, who was always just witty and funny and charming and a clown. It was almost a conscious formation of my own personality, because I thought, I don't want to get lost in this trio. They're too strong.
One of Carly's best-known songs is called Older Sister, an idea of what it must have been like to be the younger sister.
She rides in the front seat. She's my older sister. She knows her power over me. Oh, but to be, oh, but to be, oh, but to be, I'd like to be my older sister.
While Carly's role nurtured the clown and Joanna's the sophisticate, Lucy's role in the family seemed to fit her position in the middle of the sisters.
Lucy became the sort of very sweet, darling, adorable, could do no wrong child. Really an angel. She was demure. She was an ingenue. She was the darling of my father, I think.
I was the goody-goody, the one that was nice and gave in.
I have a song. I think it's a song about somebody who
Lucy's interest in folk music also gave her a different musical style. As teenagers, she and Carly used to perform folk songs as the Simon Sisters. As an adult, Lucy still finds a place for the love that developed among the sisters in her work. Lucy is currently working on a musical play based on the Little House on the Prairie books, a story about three sisters. She writes in her New York apartment and works in a studio to create three-part harmonies with her own voice.
I can almost touch the stars, filling up the night. On their way around the world, they stop their flight. I can almost reach the moon.
My harmonies are based on those harmonies that I've sung with my sisters.
She sings a lullaby, and heaven can't be far from where we lie.
Well, it wasn't right. Part of it was right, part of it was wrong, so.
the sisters have carried forward and accomplished has touched other lives in a striking number of ways. Carly has volunteered to help teach a music class at the school her two children attend, offering examples of her process of songwriting, how she builds her arrangements and themes.
All of a sudden, in the middle of the song, Jessie, quick, come here. 2, 3, and...
Jessie, quick, come here. I won't tell a soul. Even myself. Jessie, I can easily change my mind about you.
The ease with which Carly talks about her music doesn't transfer to her feelings about performing it.
I was the member of the family who was least interested in performing. I think primarily because of anxiety about it, just fear.
But once her songs begin, any feeling of stage fright is impossible to detect. Joanna still performs with the New York City Opera, but this year, at 41, she's begun a new career as a television reporter for the show Entertainment Tonight. Lucy, who's produced 2 award-winning albums for children, went with her family last week to this nuclear disarmament event in Manhattan. Also on hand, their brother Peter, who at 34 will soon publish his 6th book. And Carly was there singing with Lucy. Carly and her husband, James Taylor, are divorcing. The man with her now is Al Corley, formerly of the TV series Dynasty. Despite the range of their successes, the sisters still apply their past together as more than a simple remembrance. They have succeeded, first of all, at being sisters.
We share so much. We have that history that nobody else has. You know, even our husbands are left out of a good part of our lives. We all are each other's closest friends.
Oh, Julie, all those nice animals. It looks just beautiful. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Last spring, Andrea turned 72 years old. She's been ill this year, but she continues to work at civic jobs and gardening. She still lives in the house where the children grew up, and she still runs it with a strong will. But it has never ceased to be a gift when old harmonies come to life here again.
And give you peace, and give you peace, the Lord made his face to shine upon you. Happy birthday, Mama.
So it's so incredibly beautiful. I mean, it goes a whole lot of things, you know, sort of the years together and the singing that was going on, and to have it culminate in this extraordinary beauty, and I'm blessed.